have it. Thank you. Motion number 6, money. Minister Nigel Huddleston to move. Shadow Minister Stephen Doughty.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I only rise to make a few brief comments about the money resolution today, and I want to begin by thanking all those who work with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. I know I'm not the only parliamentary member across this House who has benefited from their expertise and their experience and their networks and contacts and indeed global stature, recognised and valued both here and in the UK and indeed across the Commonwealth. And I've relied on their support on many occasions, visited Ghana and indeed Canada recently with the CPA, and have also worked closely with our UK overseas territories, Crown dependencies and other members of the Commonwealth family. And it's crucial that we're building those links and strengthening them at a time of deep global uncertainty. Our relationships through the Commonwealth and indeed interparliamentary relationships are actually absolutely crucial. And the role that both CPA UK but also as this money resolution applies to the CPA as a whole, the Secretariat being hosted here play a critical role. And I pay tribute to the former member of this House, our friend Stephen Twigg, who has the role of Secretary General. I also want to commend the work of the ICRC, who obviously play a critical role globally, tireless and meticulous work in supporting civilians working in conflict and war zones around the world and upholding key responsibilities in relation to the laws of war and indeed humanitarian law, playing a critical role, as we know, for many decades. So moving to the substance of this money resolution today, I want to make clear that the opposition fully supports these moves, and of course the money resolution doesn't lead to any, as I understand, and maybe the Minister will correct me if not, any substantial expenditure, and that the issues in relation to the privileges and immunities that be granted by this bill will be, any expenditures will be covered in relation to the work that already goes on around similar international organisations. I think it's worth referencing, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the CPA has experienced some significant issues and concerns being raised if it does not receive these important privileges and immunities, and indeed some questions have been raised, including at recent meetings of the CPA. So it's important that we get on with this as soon as possible, give them the support that they need in terms of a change of status. Otherwise, we could see risks, for example, of the CPA Secretariat being moved outside the UK, which would, of course, be a huge retrograde step, in my view, Madam Deputy Speaker. And indeed, the ICRC, in terms of them, it's critical that we give them the specific privileges and immunities that indeed other states grant, so that their confidential and neutral important work is able to be carried out. And I've heard from both the CPA and the ICRC in relation to these matters and how important this small but significant change in legislation is to them, and indeed have visited the ICRC headquarters in Geneva and listened to important developments about their work in critical zones around the world. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, as I said briefly, I just want to make clear that there is full support from the opposition for these moves. This is the important next step, getting this money resolution. We need to see these changes to the status and operations these organisations, bringing us in line with other countries, indeed allowing them to do their work. Time's of the essence, so I hope that the government will be able to move on swiftly with this. Thank you.
The question is, as on the order paper, Sir Michael Ellis.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. And this motion is about sending taxpayers' money to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, which I fully endorse, and the International Committee of the Red Cross. And I'd just like to spend a minute or two talking about the ICRC, because all British taxpayers, of course, are contributing, and the ICRC plays a noble and important role in conflicts around the world, and that is indisputable. It would, however, be remiss of me not to reflect on the strong criticism the organisation has faced in recent months for its abject failure to acquire access to what was more than 200 hostages that have been cruelly held by Hamas in the most unimaginable conditions. And we should not forget, Madam Deputy Speaker, that in 1939 the President of the ICRC approached the German Red Cross to arrange for visitation with Jews deported to Poland, and he met with a refusal by the Nazi German authorities, and from then on, in World War II, the ICRC opted for a strategy of no longer addressing the question of Jews directly. And we all know the tragic consequences of that decision, for which, Madam Deputy Speaker, the ICRC has, or had, retrospectively apologised, and rightly so. And so, following that apology, His Majesty's government and other governments around the world have supported the International Committee of the Red Cross with British taxpayers' money, and have done so for years. But now, today, families in the United Kingdom, and there are families in the United Kingdom whose relatives are being held hostage, as well as families from Israel and around the world, whose loved ones have been missing now for almost 5 months, understand this history of the Red Cross as relates to the Nazis in World War II for obvious reasons, and it is painful. And as a consequence, this most recent failure by the ICRC will never be understood, and likely, I'm sorry to say, never be forgiven. And when questioned about this by the Prime Minister of Israel, the ICRC President, Spolyarich Eger, said that applying pressure on Hamas is not going to work. As can be imagined, this is inconceivably frustrating for Israel's leadership and Jewish people around the world, and particularly in this country. Israel's foreign minister at the time, Eli Cohen, said that the Red Cross hasn't a right to exist if it can't reach the hostages, determine their condition and provide them with medical treatment and medications, adding that every day that passes is another failure for the Red Cross. And what's even more shocking is that during a meeting, Madam Deputy Speaker, during a meeting with hostage families, so someone from the ICRC goes and meets hostage families, the Red Cross responded to pleas to deliver medication to hostages with reprimands for the hostage families to think about the Palestinians. And can you imagine saying to a recent rape victim, well, can you think about others? Now, perhaps it is not surprising in the circumstances that a reported mathematical breakdown of the ICRC statements put on social media show that 77% of social media statements solely condemn Israel. 77%, while only 7% solely condemned Hamas. An 11 times difference, which surely points to a worrying trend towards political bias within the International Committee of the Red Cross. And bearing in mind their World War II history, this is deeply shameful. And criticism against the organisation is mounting across the world, as well as in Israel. And near weekly rallies have taken place outside its offices in the United States since the 7th of October to demand that the Red Cross meets individuals in the Gaza Strip. So we're asking His Majesty's government taxpayers' money to go to the ICRC, and we should take the demands about the Hamas hostages seriously and urgently, because it is the ICRC's distinguished reputation that I'm talking about now. And it's their good work in so many regions around the world, which I applaud. I just want them to do good work for Jewish people as well as for people around the world. There are too many examples of international organisations and institutions, and national ones, that do excellent work everywhere else except where Jews are concerned. And it is for their reputation that I'm speaking now. Because where they do this excellent work internationally in other cases, I want them to do excellent work for Jewish people who are being tortured, children who are being kept hostage. So it's led to deep-seated feelings of frustration and disappointment on this particular issue. And I'll conclude by saying that I'm sure that His Majesty's Treasury and His Majesty's ministers in the Treasury Department will think carefully, as they always do, and I know they will, about spending taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Mr. Nigel Huddleston.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I thank our honourable member and my right honourable friend his contributions. I've heard him. I'm sure ICRC has heard him as well. The purpose of this bill, of course, is to enable the government to treat the CPA and the ICRC in a manner comparable to that of an international organisation. He's making my right honourable friend's making some broader comments, and I say the government's heard those, and I'm sure the ICRC has heard them. And can I thank the honourable member opposite for his comments, and in particular the way that he also recognised and applauded the work of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. I think the purpose and the role that it plays is recognised across the House and indeed around the world. Of course, there will be further debate on this topic on the committee stage coming up, and I will end my comments there, Madam Deputy Speaker.
The question is motion number 6 as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to motion number 7 on terms and conditions of employment. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to motion number 8 on pensions. Minister to move.
I beg to move.
The question is as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
No. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Petition